Hello, and welcome to Orange Coast Unitarian Universalist Church. My name is Joel Kilshoer, and I am your worship associate for today. I am joined by Beth Syverson, our Director of Music Ministries, and Karen Magoon Pearson, our Director of Religious Education, in welcoming you today. Our minister, Reverend Sean Wilshire, is not leading the service today, but she has a special message for you.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Orange Coast Unitarian Universalist Church. I'm Reverend Sean Wilshire, and I proudly serve this beloved community. Now, I'm not in the pulpit today, but we have a very special treat for you, the Reverend Arvid Straube. He is here for you, and I just want to let you in on a little something about Arvid. He rocks! He is totally awesome. He has a heart as big as the Pacific Ocean and a mind as deep and wide as the Grand Canyon. So I want to invite you to sit back and open your heart and your mind and soak in that wisdom and all that love that he has to give. He's such a wonderful man. So, hey, Arvid. So at any rate, I want you all to have a wonderful time. And if you're a visitor, you have really lucked into a treat with Arvid and this beloved community. And I hope that you find that beloved community here. So I will see you all next week.
All right. We would also like to recognize the many volunteers that have helped put the service together today. In addition, this morning, as Reverend Sean told you, we are delighted to have Reverend Arvid Straube. I was up all night about that one. A native of Nebraska, Reverend Arvid Straube earned an MA from the University of Chicago and a Doctor of Ministry from Meadville Lombard Theological School. Meadville granted him an honorary Doctor of Divinity degree in 2013. Dr. Straube served as a parish minister for 35 years, serving congregations in Washington State, North Carolina, and most recently as lead minister of First UU Church in San Diego. He is now engaged in a ministry of spiritual direction and spiritual coaching. We respectfully recognize that our church property rests on Hachimen and Tongva land. As Unitarian Universalists, we have many different beliefs, but we are one loving community. We are bound together, not by a common set of rules or beliefs, but rather a covenant. A covenant is simply a promise that whatever our beliefs, we accept one another and encourage each other in spiritual growth. We affirm that all life has inherent value and that all existence is interconnected. We strive for justice and compassion in our deeds and relationships, and we are committed to creating a welcoming community without regard to the traits that sometimes divide people. To our Roomers, we invite you to silence your cell phones. For our Zoomers, we invite you to say hello in the chat. I want to extend a special welcome to visitors. If you are seeking a spiritual home, we hope that you will find it here. Later in the service, we will have an opportunity for you to introduce yourself if you'd like to do so. Let our worship begin with the lighting of our chalice as we say our unison affirmation. Love is the spirit of this church, and service is its law, to dwell together in peace, to seek truth and love, and to help one another. This we affirm together.
Good morning. We're going to start off with a meditation on breathing. So we'll remain seated, but if you can get yourself into some sort of open posture, feet on the floor, if that feels comfortable to you, unwind your limbs. And we're going to just start this a little differently than we usually do. Just follow me. Breathe in. Breathe out. Breathe in. Breathe out. Breathe in. Breathe out. Breathe in. breathe in, I'll breathe in peace. When I breathe in, I'll breathe out loud. When I breathe in, I'll breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I'll breathe out loud. When I breathe in, I'll breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I'll breathe out loud. When I breathe in, I'll breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I'll breathe out loud. When I breathe in, I'll breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I'll breathe out loud. When I breathe in, I'll breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I'll breathe out loud. When I breathe in, I'll breathe out. When I breathe in, I'll breathe out. Breathe in, breathe out. Breathe in, breathe out.
Look to this day, for it is life, the very life of life. Within its brief course lie all the verities and realities of your existence, the bliss of growth, the splendor of beauty, the glory of action. For yesterday is but a dream, and tomorrow is only a vision, but today well lived makes every yesterday a dream of happiness, and every tomorrow a vision of hope. Look well, therefore, to this day. It is so great to be back with you. I've always enjoyed my visits to this lively and alive congregation. I see some old friends here, and that was the most impossible to live up introduction I've ever heard.
morning. Our story today is The Prince and the Rhinoceros. Once upon a time in India, a rare rhinoceros was born with skin so beautiful it almost glowed. The rhinoceros was given to a noble prince who was very lonely and whose kingdom was poor. The prince was so delighted with the unusual gift that he laughed joyfully. So he named the little calf Great Joy. The prince treated the rhino with great kindness. He fed her rice, fruit, and choice tender plants, and he always spoke in a kind and gentle voice. Great Joy grew and was happy. The prince thought Great Joy was quite beautiful. At sunrise, she would be golden. At sunset, she would be a canvas of pink and red and orange, and later the dark blue of evening. Sometimes after a rain, she would reflect everything around her. She seemed almost enchanted. "You are wonderful and special to me," the prince whispered softly. In time, Great Joy grew into an enormous rhino. She was very strong. One day she thought about her good life with the prince and what she could give him in return. "I'm only a rhino, but I can use my strength to help him earn gold for his kingdom." She suggested to the prince that she compete in a contest of strength against the town's strongest bulls. A rich merchant with many fine oxen agreed to the wager. Great Joy would pull 100 loaded wagons, usually towed by his team of 8 oxen. The bet was 1,000 gold pieces. The next day, the prince inspected the wagons and harnessed Great Joy to the front. Then he climbed into the driver's seat. Great Joy waited for a few kind words of encouragement before starting. Instead, the prince, thinking only of his gold, waved a whip in the air and shouted, "Pull, you big wretch! Move, you worthless rhino!" Great Joy was shocked at her beloved prince's words. "Wretch? Worthless? I'm no wretch," she thought. I'm not worthless either." So she stiffened her huge legs and refused to move an inch. Humiliated, the prince ran home and hid in his royal bed. "I'm ruined," he cried. Great Joy was filled with pain and sorrow. She needed to understand what she had done to deserve such cruel insults. After many days and nights without food or sleep, she went to the prince's palace, which had grown shabby due to his impoverished state. "Oh, prince, in all our years together, have I ever done anything to hurt you?" "No, never." "Then why did you say those terrible things to me? Was the thought of gold worth more than what I can offer?" The prince hung his head. Tears ran down his face. "The gold distracted me. I forgot the importance of our friendship. I'm so ashamed." "Then we will try again," Great Joy said. "Go back to the merchant and double your bet." Again the carts were loaded and Great Joy was harnessed to the front. The prince climbed up and sang out, "All right, you marvelous marvel, you splendid rhino, my Great Joy, it's up to you." The powerful rhino snorted, pawed the ground, and charged forward. Her sides heaved as she pulled until the last cart crossed the finish line. The townspeople cheered wildly as they covered her with garlands of flowers and strands of tinkling bells. The prince collected his 2,000 pieces of gold, then humbly thanked Great Joy for a job well done. That very evening, the prince and the rhino walked along the river in the red glow of sunset. "I didn't mean to say such hurtful words to you," the prince whispered. "Please forgive me." "I already have," said Great Joy. And that's how they lived forever after, in friendship and great joy. Never again did an unkind word pass between them. All right, now I'm going to light the children's chalice, and we're going to sing our children and their teachers out to their religious education classrooms.
We hold you in our love as you go, as you go. May your heart be at peace as you go. To nurture the spark of your precious love. We hold you in our love as you go.
I have a new favorite blog. It's called Sunday Paper, and it's put out weekly by Maria Shriver, the former First Lady of California. I really like it because she presents some really good public current affairs analysis that's deep, thoughtful, and free of sensationalism. And also some articles that are frankly inspiring, some good news. But my favorite part is her weekly meditations. And this is one that particularly struck me. In order to understand it, I want to let you know that the word gospel in English actually is close to the Greek word for good news. Preach the gospel at all times. Use words only when necessary. I've heard that message echoed in church many times, but I share it with you this morning because I believe it's especially pertinent today. Spreading good news, being a messenger of what's good in the world, is something we can all be doing today. Think about it. We don't even have to speak or write something to spread love, compassion, kindness, or goodness. It's all about how we show up in the world. Are you a messenger of hope, love, and good news? Or are you stuck in a cycle of negativity and doom, pointing fingers and spreading bad news? Here's the truth, though. Things will not get better unless each of us commits to making good on our mission. Better will not come easily. It's hard work. That's why I love the speech that Kara Lawson, Duke University women's basketball head coach, gave this past week. She said, "We wait for stuff to get easier. It will never get easier. What happens is you handle it better." A few weeks ago, my daughter Christina went to a workshop. She said there they spoke about the truth that sustainable change happens in what they call 2-degree shifts. Small adjustments that have a monumental impact over time. 2-degree shifts, she was told, have the power to change how we see and experience the world. 2 degrees is possible, achievable, manageable, and it can make a big difference. Now, you may be sitting there thinking that 2 degrees is nothing, but it's actually big. It can be life-changing. Just imagine if you made it your mission to simply improve your ability to be a messenger of good by 2 degrees every day. Imagine if every day you showed up just a little bit better in the world than the day before. I know these are hard times. They are really, really hard times for millions. People are struggling. I know millions of Americans believe our country's on the wrong track. I've read the polls. I know others are warning us on a daily basis about the threat to our democracy and calling us to safeguard it, lest we lose what we hold dear. Yes, these times require perseverance, strength, and hope. We can only get through these times if we believe we can do what Coach Lawson told us to do. We can only get through these times, I believe, if we each commit to something larger than ourselves. I believe we can rise up if we believe we can make a difference in another person's life. So for our time of meditation, I'm inviting you to use it moment of silence, which is going to follow in whichever way is most nurturing to you for reflection, for meditation, for prayer. If you wish, I offer you this reflection for this time of silence to come. What can you do today, to bring 2 degrees more kindness, compassion, love, and joy into the world? Amen, and blessed be.
Sing with me. People want their lives to matter. Everyone wants their dreams to soar. Anyone can make a difference. Everyone longs for something more. Don't be afraid to put words into action. Show your compassion somewhere. Be the change you want to see. Make the world you want to be. Be the light in the dark. Make it bright with your spark. Set the stage, then be the change. All around the world there's trouble, storm and destruction, disease and pain. You could say you can't make a difference. All that leaves you is nothing to gain. The sound of a movement begins with one voice. Every improvement makes noise. Be the change you want to see.
The great first century Rabbi Hillel said, in a world where no one is behaving as a human being, you must behave as a human being. And that's a choice that we get to make day by day, hour by hour, moment by moment. In her book, 12 Steps to a Compassionate Life, religion scholar Karen Armstrong reminds us that we all have this primitive brain, a brain that we share with reptiles and other forms of life. This is a brain that is instinctual and quick, and it allowed us to survive and evolve. But that brain isn't necessarily as useful for us, where we no longer have to deal with saber-toothed tigers and neighboring clans. Karen reminds us that about what scientists call the 4 F's, that these instincts are called from this part of the brain. The 4 F's are to fight, to flee, to freeze, and one that has to do with reproduction. Science. Luckily, we humans have evolved a higher and more complex brain. This brain allows us to solve very complex problems. And more important than that, it allows us to feel empathy, kindness, and love. And that is also an important reason why we have evolved and survived. And while it may not be our first instinct, it is within our power to choose to act from the human part of our brain. Some months ago, I was sharing with a good and wise friend my frustration and despair at some stuff that's been going on in our Unitarian Universalist movement, actually in the progressive movement as a whole. It seems like there's no end to shaming and blaming and seeking out enemies. And I didn't see how that was helping. My friend said, well, any solution you might think about is coming out of fear. And all of these actions are coming out of fear. Fear is a deep and primitive emotion. But any response that comes out of fear is just not going to work. It probably will make matters worse. Our responses, he said, to be effective need to come from a higher vibration. He used that word, a higher vibration of love. A shift in perspective that makes the world bigger and lets go of enemies. It lets us act from the human side of our brain. Only love, he said, can overcome fear. So we should respond out of love. Now, let's not be confused that love is only about emotions. You can dislike somebody and still love them, by the way. You really can, if you respect them. Love is acting from kindness, compassion, empathy, and understanding. These are what love means in action. You know, there seems to be more hatred in the world every day. There's all this demonizing of people who disagree, of dehumanizing them, of trying to dominate them and humiliate them. We actually have a way now technologically to exponentially increase fear. And we also have something that's been called the outrage industrial complex. And we have scores of conflict entrepreneurs who gain fame and fortune by stoking fear and hatred. And more we're hearing about white supremacist groups, militia groups, neo-Nazi groups who are lusting for violence and civil war. I wish I could say that the left is completely immune from this sort of thing, but unfortunately, some of that dehumanization comes from the people I agree with. It often seems that there's a lot of finding and hating enemies going on everywhere. So it's really natural to be afraid. It's really scary what's going on. And I'm afraid a lot. I'll admit it. We can only remember to act out of love and not fear, because we are going to fear. But even if we can act out of love only 2 degrees more every day, and if enough of us do that, a lot can happen. And I'm not saying that this is easy for me. Anybody who's been around me when I read the morning paper knows this. And I also have a problem about looking for people to blame. Somehow that makes me feel better at first. You know, if we could only straighten these people out, if we could only make them shut up, put them in jail. You know, sometimes I find myself wishing them harm. And then I fail to respond out of love. But these actions don't help anything. And they rob me of my peace. You know, it helps me so much when I remember that rabbi's great words. When in a world where no one is behaving as a human being, you must behave as a human being. So how do we do that? Here's some things that I think we can consider that I believe will help. More than 2,500 years ago, the Buddha taught us about right speech. He taught us how we should speak in order to make things better. Before we speak, he taught, we should ask ourselves, is what I'm about to say true? Is it kind? Is it helpful? Is it the right time and the right place for me to say this? And so much harm has been done by wrong speech ever since there were humans, maybe. Ever since humans could speak, certainly 2,500 years ago when the Buddha lived. And now it's magnified 24 hours a day by the 24-hour news cycle and by social media. And speaking of news and social media, we can also limit exposing ourselves to this hate and fear-mongering that's constantly being doled out by the outrage industrial complex. I've also unfollowed a lot of people on Facebook whose positions on issues I probably agree with, because they're also doling out hate, dehumanization, finding enemies. So if it dehumanizes or seeks to humiliate and dominate opponents, think about staying away from it. Unfollow them. Don't watch them. Don't let them pollute your mind with fear and hatred. That's kind of hard to do sometimes, because when we're afraid, analysts have identified something called doom scrolling. Have you ever done doom scrolling? Trying to get some kind of understanding and control. And the media's, even more or less okay media, is always going with conflict, always going, with the shocking things. And when we're afraid, I found myself doing this doom scrolling, just going from one post to another, to another, to another, to try to understand. And I don't feel better after that. I feel worse. I was raised, as some of you might have been, in the era of Walter Cronkite and Eric Severide. Any of you? All right. Okay. And we were taught that good citizens stayed informed about current affairs. But things are different now. News presentation is different now. The media is different now. And now even more reputable news sources tend to lead with the sensational, the speculative, and the shocking. So you might want to limit that too, to the minimum, to stay informed. Personally, I've chosen to get news only in print because those videos tend to not tell me any more information, but they upset me and start that fear cycle going. And most important, we can act in, and even in small ways, it helps. The folk singer Joan Baez said that action is the antidote to despair, and I think that's true. Action is the antidote to despair. So we can look for opportunities to act with kindness and helpfulness in the people that are in our lives, even with just smiles and kind words. We can volunteer to help those suffering and in need. And I've been a great admirer of this congregation's efforts for people experiencing homelessness and for Ukrainian refugees. Good for you. You can get involved in movements that seek to heal human suffering. Yeah, it's important also, if you feel called to it, to get involved in activism that actually seeks to transform and interrupt unjust systems, which is hard sometimes, because it's hard to do it without adding more hate into the world, without dehumanizing the people we strongly disagree with. But I think we can be more effective in our activism if we can say the strongest possible, no, you won't do this if I can help it, without dehumanizing people and making them our enemies and wishing them harm. So Maria Shriver writes, you may be sitting there thinking that 2 degrees is nothing, but it's actually big. It can be life-changing. Imagine if you made it your mission to simply improve your ability to be a messenger of good by 2 degrees every day. Imagine if every day you showed up just a little bit better in the world than you did the day before. Yes, hatred and fear are powerful, but I think love overcomes fear. And we can choose love. We can choose to act from the human side of our brain. Because, as the old Quaker hymn says, since love prevails in heaven and earth, how can I keep from singing? And how can we keep from singing? And we're going to sing that old Quaker hymn now. Please rise as you're able.
Please rise in body or spirit. My life goes on in endless song of lover's lamentation. I hear the real, the far off hymn that is a new creation. Through all the tumult and the strife, I hear the music ringing in sound.
Unitarian Universalist congregations are fully self-supporting, meaning that members and friends raise all funds for the operating budget, ministries, and programs of the church. We are ever grateful for your gifts of time, treasure, and talent. OCUC amplifies that spirit of generosity by sharing 1/2 of the plate we receive with an organization that shares our values. This month, we are supporting Micah's Way, which provides coffee, food, and support on the streets of Santa Ana. There are multiple ways in which you can support the church and Micah's Way. You can mail a check, go through our website, or use an app called Venco Mobile. The choice is yours, and all the information is on our website should you need it. As always, thank you for your generosity.
And now let's sing our offertory response, a song that puts our intentions into words and expresses our gratitude for the many gifts we share. We gather peace, love, and justice for everyone. We give from our hearts to show that we care. We can change lives with what we share.
Oh, there we go. Now is a time when we honor the important events in our lives. You are invited, one and all, whether you're a member, a friend, or a visitor, to participate in our weekly ritual of joys and sorrows. So let's take a deep breath. Perhaps you come here today holding something close to your heart, moments from the last days or hours that have struck you at your core. If you'd like to honor such a profound joy or sorrow, you are invited to do so. If you are a roomer, you are invited to come forward to light your candle. If you'd like to share your joy or sorrow, you can write it out on the slip of paper provided. You may raise your hand and an usher will bring you one if you do not have one already, and hand it to me. If you are a Zoomer, you are invited to write your joy or sorrow in the chat. Once the roomers are done lighting candles, I will read all the joys and sorrows shared out loud as Judith Stamper lights a candle for the Zoomers. As music is played, I invite you to silently offer healing or celebration as you feel called and according to your own beliefs. Please light a candle of joy for Reverend Sean Wilshire, whose niece passed her driver's test. And for our in-person roomers, Craig Preston has lit a candle of joy for the passage of the Inflation Reduction Act, the largest climate bill so far, and that will help us honor our pledge to the Paris Accord. Meg W. has lit a candle of joy. She was so fortunate to visit in person our lovely, I hope that Karen Kennedy in Sonoma, and for us to dine with Euless Ayton. We started OCUC North. Yes. And Dawn and Sandy Martin have a joy. Sarah Hunter's birthday is on Tuesday. Sarah and Rob are attending today on Zoom, and they want me to say happy birthday. Sue Kwam has a candle of hope for the informative and clear sermon on how to act with love, compassion, and integrity. Simone Bentley has a candle of hope. Her surgery on September 7th at Hogue to improve her quality of life. Keep her in your thoughts and the singing. Dave Carlson has a candle of pleasant relief. He has completed teaching a summer semester course at the business school at the University of California, Irvine. And Sharon Ball has a candle of sorrow. One of her dearest and oldest friends passed away last Sunday. She and Barbara met in college in 1964 and have remained close all these years. She's grateful for all the wonderful shared memories. Paula Peterson also has a candle of sorrow for the death of Corey Peterson, a disabled man who made the world a better place. He will be missed. Let us hold in love all the joys and celebrations and all the hurts and sadness, both spoken and silent. Let our joys remind us to be thankful, our concerns remind us to hope, and our sorrows remind us to connect. Let all these moments remind us that we are not alone. Please join Judith Stamper in a spirit of prayer and meditation.
These words are from David Rico. What makes us human beings so uniquely wonderful in this puzzling universe is that we never give up on love. Against all odds, with no guarantee of being loved in return, out of the hate and hurt so often handed us, in the face of the sad suffering history has let us see, we go on loving. What deep respect we deserve for this capacity of ours to make love out of anything and to let it last. Blessed be.
Let us join together as we extinguish the flame of our chalice and say together, we extinguish our chalice, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. Thank you for joining us this morning. We are a congregation made up of people who all believe differently. And yet, when we gather together, we make up one loving community. We need not think alike to love alike. If you are a guest, a visitor, or someone who hasn't yet been known to us, I invite you to become a part of this beloved community. We encourage you to write in the chat your name and where you are from, or stand up if you're a roomer, and a microphone will be provided.
Hi, good morning. My name is Daniel. I'm a visitor here today with my son, who is in the Child Birth Program. We're very excited to be here to learn about UC, and hopefully we'll get to know each other a little bit more. Thank you.
Welcome. All right. If you'd like to know more about our church, including programming for our youth and children, please contact us at hello@ocuc.org, and we will help you get connected. In addition, we invite you to sign up for a weekly email called The Blast at blast@ocuc.org. Everyone here reads The Blast, so you really need to. But reach out and we will help you get connected. After the benediction, we will have a short period where everyone can wave and say hello. After that, you can choose to be put in Zoom breakout rooms for 20 minutes or so. We invite you to check in and get to know the people in your group as well as welcome any visitors. We will have screenings of the 4th Annual Orange Coast Film Festival September 24th at 2 and 6 p.m., both here and online. All Church Camp at Camp de Benneville is back for October 7th to 9th. You may register at the welcome table. And in addition to what we have up on the screen, the Afghan family that Reverend Sean is helping host are in need of a printer and a square or round coffee table for their living room. So if you can help provide that for them, contact Reverend Sean or Marilyn Giss.
Let me respectfully remind you that life and death are of ultimate concern. Time passes swiftly by and opportunity is lost. Wake up. Wake up. Do not squander your precious life. Go in peace after we have our song.
Let us go up and all do our part. Let us go up, bring joy to each heart. Let us go up with indifference destroyed. Let us go out with joy one more time. Let us go up and all do our part. Let us go up, bring joy to each heart. Let us go up with indifference destroyed. Let us go out with joy. Let us go out with joy. Let us go out with joy. And now this service is over. Let our service continue.